Hello everyone, Myzzrym here, bringing you another video of TI3 for Dummies, this time on the drafting stage. So you decided to watch a game of Dota 2 drop by, even though you don't know much about the game, and suddenly you see this screen. Whoa, lots of information, very confusing, but don't worry, we'll go about it in detail. So first of all, we can see here on the top right is going to be the mode of the game. So Captain's mode is the mode that is always used in tournaments. It's the mode that is linked to the drafting stage. If you're playing with your friends casually, chances are in matchmaking you're going to be playing all-pick, and all-pick doesn't have this whole drafting stage. It's almost going immediately into the game. So the teams that are playing, you have the names shown here. In red is going to be LGD Gaming, so red means the dire side with a logo, and on the green side, the Radiant are going to be Invasion MUFC with their logo. So the Radiant side is going to start on the bottom left of the map. The dire side on the red is going to be playing on the top right of the side. And if you can see here is the name of the players of each team. So Xiaoet, Siler, Yao, DDC, DD for LGD Gaming, and Winter, Ling, TFG, FZFZ, and Huntrash player for MUFC. So now we have the name of the team, we have the name of the players. Let's see how the process of the drafting stage goes. You can see here there's a huge arrow in the middle, which is actually showing how the drafting stage is going to go. So banning stage first, picking phase second, then a second banning phase, then a second picking phase, then a last banning stage before a last picking stage. If you're wondering which team is going to do what in what order, take a look at the color of each segment here with the arrow pointing the bottom or top. So for example, if we take the example of the second picking stage, you can see that it starts with a red arrow pointing up. So LGD Gaming is going to start picking, then MUFC is going to pick one, then LGD is going to pick one again, and then MUFC is going to pick one. So if you're wondering who is going to do what, refer to this arrow in the middle with the color code. In the gray area is the process that is already passed. So banning stage, you can see that 4 bars shown. So there's 4 bans: Batrider, Chen for LGD, Darkseer, Alchemist for MUFC. Then picking phase, you can see that 3 bars are actually grayed out. So Visage, Magnus, and Nyx Assassin. And there's 1 bar that is light out, and that is actually what the team is doing. So I paused the game, so that's why the counter isn't going down. So what is this big timer here? This timer shows how much time you have to make a decision, and this timer is refreshed every time you go to a new arrow. So that means you have normally 40 seconds to make your decision, and once it goes to 0, it starts eating into your reserve time. But if you go down to, for example, 20 seconds, and then you go to the second bar, it's going to go back up to 40 seconds. It's not going to take into account the 20 seconds you used to choose your hero. However, if you go and eat into the reserve time, you're not going to have the reserve time going back up. The reserve time is for the entire drafting process, and it's not going to go back up any time during the game. So you can see here that MUFC didn't use any of their reserve time. They have 1 minute 50 seconds, whereas LGD Gaming already used a lot. They are down to 28 seconds. So if you go down to 0, it starts eating into your reserve time, and once you go broke with the reserve time, you're actually not going to choose any hero. This is not going to happen. It's like normally you only see that happen if someone is going AFK, but during tournament that's never going to happen. And there is actually one team that did that once. They actually let go the reserve time to 0 during the banning stage. It was Zenith, and that means they didn't ban anyone. So why did they do that? It's because they wanted to screw up with their enemy, and also because they were trying something with a no ban strategy. You cannot choose no hero for banning. So usually if you want to ban no hero whatsoever, Zenith have done that in the past again, and they just ban troll heroes, so heroes that are never going to be played anyway. So I'm talking about ban, for example, but what does banning really means? For those who don't really know Dota 2, Dota 2 has a huge hero roster, so I think it's 100 and some, and you can decide that this particular hero in this game is not going to be played. By banning a hero, you prevent the enemy team, but also your own team from picking him. So that means if LGD Gaming is banning Batrider, not only can't MUFC play him, but LGD Gaming can't play the Batrider either. So you totally remove him from the game. There is 3 types of bans generally that we can talk about. So there's the safe bans. Safe bans means that it doesn't really show much about your strategy. It's bans that is very, very common because the hero is just very strong or very versatile, and he just fit pretty much everywhere. So those examples, for example, would be Batrider and Darkseer. Those are 2 heroes that are very, very strong and that almost either a ban or picked. So by banning those heroes, you're not really showing your hand. You're not showing your strategy. And for those who play League of Legends, a comparison would be Nunu in the 3.8 patch. He was just so powerful that everyone just decided to either ban him or force picking. So this is the first type of bans, and you're going to see that a lot during the banning stage, especially during the first banning stage. And then comes the strategic bans. So strategic bans means you are going to ban that particular hero because he is pretty good against your lineup. Let's say you have a lineup that relies on pushing very fast. So pushing, for those who don't know, means you are going to want to destroy the enemy base as fast as possible. So you're not really relying on killing the enemy heroes or farming a lot of items and then going late game, getting very, very powerful items. You're just trying to just barrel down their lanes and destroy the base before the enemy can get stronger than you. So if you play that kind of strategy, of course you're going to be aware that you don't want your enemy to have any kind of hero that can stall the game. So the enemy could stall the game with heroes that could destroy your summons, heroes that can defend towers very well from a long distance, and those kind of heroes, like for example Keeper of the Light, are going to be your targeted bans for strategic bans. You don't want them to stall the game because if you go late game you're going to lose, so you're going to ban them. So strategic bans, so those are kind of strategic bans. Of course you have a bit more focused strategic bans as well. For example, I have this hero in the middle lane and I know that hero totally craps on my middle lane, so I really don't want that hero, so you're gonna ban that hero as well. So it's less about the big broad strategy and more about the laning as well. And you can also see, mind games, like I'm banning this hero, which is suggesting that I'm playing this kind of strategy, but no, in fact, it's not, etc., etc. So this is the second type of ban, and this is like the most common ban. This is it's almost revolving around. And last is very rare, but it's the targeted bans. Targeted bans means that this player plays a phenomenal, for example, Pudge. Dandy plays a phenomenal Pudge. So we're going to ban Pudge because we don't want Dandy to play him because it's too scary and it's a risk. If we let him play him, we may run into some problems. Let's go back to TI2 last year, the International 2, and Na'Vi. Na'Vi was very, very strong, and they had this Pudge player called Dandy who played this Pudge very well and who was very scary. Now Pudge is a hero in Dota 2, for those who don't know, that was very, very rarely seen, if ever. Like, you don't see Pudge in competitive games because competitive players, they know how to play against this hero and it's not viable, yada yada yada. You have a lot of reasons why people didn't believe Pudge was viable. But Dandy and Na'Vi played Pudge and they played it very well. And Dandy was very scary with Pudge. He was really controlling the game. So most teams decided not to ban Pudge because it's not really the way it goes in Dota 2. You don't really target ban. You're just ban around strategy and less around punishing the enemy players. And IG, the champions of last year International, decided against Na'Vi to ban Pudge because they decided that strong heroes we can deal with. We're trained against that. But Pudge, we just never train against Pudge, so we're gonna ban that hero because hell, I don't want to play against that. And then he showed that he plays very well. So targeted bans in Dota 2, very rare. Another example would be, for example, banning Kunkka versus Xiao8. You can see here Xiao8 during the last tournament of Super League, I think in China. He was really wrecking faces all around with his Kunkka. And in fact, he was playing Kunkka so well that even IceFrog, the developer of the game, tweeted about that. So For example, banning Kunkka against Xiaoid would be a targeted ban as well. I know that in League of Legends this is very common. Actually, it's the most common type of ban is targeting ban. So for example, EG, we know that their middle player plays very well this, that hero, so we're gonna ban those 3 heroes so he play out of his comfort zone. In Dota 2, you rarely ever main a hero. You have some specialty heroes that people just know that you're very good with, but it's not rare to see a huge range of hero that players can play. Alright, so I hope this actually lights up a little bit of information for you, and we are going to be back with a video on the game itself and the UI during the game. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.